Welcome to another episode of my Motortown playthrough. Today we are back to do a bit more bus driving. Really, I'm just making this video to talk about the recent release of the 0.77 update onto the main branch, because honestly it came as quite a surprise to me. I didn't really feel like the update was ready, and it being put out there in the current state, I just noticed that I'm driving on the wrong road here. I don't need to go around the shoreline for this route, so let's get back onto the main road. Good start. But yeah, the update, while it is overall pretty positive, I like a lot of the things they've done here. It feels like it's not completely ready. There are still a few things happening or things that should have been happening, that they just didn't put into the update, and I think without those, it cannot really be considered completely finished. First up, when it comes to the whole workshop stuff, we have the whole thing about private tune saving and potentially also privately sharing them still on the Trello. They are working on it, yet they put this out for everybody to play the new update without it being part of the update. So that means that people who currently want to do something privately cannot do it, and if they just want to try out multiple different tunes for a car, well, that's now all gonna be flooding onto the workshop. Far from ideal in my opinion. So yeah, that's one of the things that's missing. Also, while they added the whole thing about the bell to bus driving, you still always have to come to at least almost a halt at bus stops in order to get the next stop in line. So that's far from what it should be in terms of usefulness. So yeah, not that happy about that either. And multiple, multiple people have been talking about that this should be a thing and how to potentially do this, and yet it's not in the game, and I don't think they even put it on the Trello, so that's at the very least a missed opportunity. I still like the bell, and it's a step in the right direction, but it doesn't really do that much without the other part as well. There was another thing that I was meaning to talk about. I'm kind of skipping on that right now. Ah, yeah, the new bus spawning stuff. I like the preview. I think some people have said some things about the colors looking a bit off, and that might be a lighting issue, which I wish they would just address if they could. But also just the recently used list. It's something that I recently wrote a feedback post about. Basically, what it does is it apparently just takes into account any vehicle that you have spawned. Be it AI buses, be it some campies that are just placed around the entire map that you don't really interact with unless you just happen to need to go to that place. And that is really clogging up the list, and I think it would be much better if it was only using vehicles in the order of which you used them. So actually getting inside, driving it around in terms of trailers, having the trailer attached to something and driving around with that, I think that should be how those are handled. But being spawned around the map isn't really much of a metric. And yeah, this is the whole bus thing again. I should be able to just drive through there, and as long as I hit the boundary box of the stop, I should be able to get to the next one immediately. Or at least have that one activated, I mean. But it just... Yeah, that's not really how it works right now. But besides that, there have been a few things that are pretty nice about the update. Again, the previous stuff is nice. The whole workshop thing must have taken quite a while to figure out. There are a lot of things that are more like minor improvements, but they have likely taken a while to put into place. So things that are not that straightforward. But they need to be done at some point anyways, so yeah, that's likely why the update feels a bit smaller at this point than a few others, but it must have taken quite a bit of time to put this stuff in anyways. But I think there are still a few key features that should have been in here, and it shouldn't have gone to the live branch without that happening. Another thing that I recently learned about, and I don't know if anybody ever even talked about it on the Motortown Discord. Apparently some people are downloading other people's tunes and decals and everything, and then just uploading them as if they made it on their own.
Hello.
I don't know if that should have been foreseen by the dev and been taken care of beforehand, but yeah, at the very least, something should be done now that it has become an apparent problem.
Hello.
I don't think it happened to me. I don't even have many tunes out there to begin with, but I heard from other people who yeah, just had that happen to them, and I think that should be addressed. Ideally, the people affected by this should bring this up on the Discord, because it's not always a good idea to argue the point for somebody else. So I'm trying to stay away from that and only talk about the things as far as I experience them. But yeah, something should be done about this, and you should need to at least alter the vehicle significantly in order to re-upload the tune in its entirety. And maybe something could be done where when it comes to decals, maybe if you download that from somebody else, you would need to at least get a certain amount of stuff positioned or altered in color or something in order to get that working again. Otherwise, if you just make a tune for the vehicle in order to change its driving behavior, then you could just upload that part without the decal. And for the rest, maybe if you have like, I don't know, let's say 4 things or so differently in terms of suspension or motor tuning, then maybe that could also pass as another tune. Hard to say really. But those are really just things from the top of my head that I could come up with in order to potentially improve that whole thing. But yeah, that's for the new features. As far as the new vehicle, that's the bus that I'm driving right now. I mean, I was happy with it from the beginning, and that hasn't changed. It's a fantastic addition. Much more nimble than the Cheetah, and yeah, I think that also makes it better for AI bus driving. I haven't seen them getting stuck with it. I think I've seen one flipped over one time, but yeah, that happens to other buses as well. Oh, we're actually full right now. And yeah, overall you get a lot of performance for a very small downgrade in terms of capacity. I wonder what we could see once we get like a Cheetah replacement, like a real Greyhound bus, slightly more modern, I guess. I don't know, is the real-life version of this bus the predecessor to the real-life version of the Cheetah in some way? They feel like they would fit the same kind of job, but I don't know. It's really just speculation on my part. I've seen these in shows and movies, but besides that, it's just, well, nothing that I have actual practical experience with. I know that there are some intercity buses mostly, and not just the yeah, internal city lines just going around different parts of town or something. So more for long distance travel, which is also kinda how I use them in this game. I made sure that the bus line where I have my Cheetah on doesn't really go around tight corners or something like that too much. I don't want to potentially get stuck somewhere. Also, yeah, another thing that I could quickly talk about is the whole menu over here, the bus route. First up, still weird that I have it on A in order to open it. I mean, you can also access it through the control panel, which I think makes more sense. Especially since when I press A while I'm on a bus stop, which I need to do in order to stop the bus line, I can't do that right now because that's going to open and close the door because I have interaction on A. I don't know how it works if you have interaction on another button, but there might be other things interfering if it's not just interaction all the time. Or if the whole functionality is not bound to your main interaction. And you have a stop button. It just seems to delete all the passengers on board, so that's also not really ideal. And if you come to a terminal, have a lot of people going off, you are better off just waiting for them to all leave and for you to get paid, because otherwise, if you let like half of them out of the bus and then press the stop button, you might not get money for any of them because that only seems to trigger once the last one who wanted to get off has done so. So that also feels a bit like half finished. I'm still hoping that maybe we get some further updates and patches soon, so that we go to 0.771, 0.772, etc. Just to get a few more things ironed out, but yeah, right now that doesn't really seem to... I mean, it's a bit too early to tell if that's going to be the case here. Just from what I saw, Mr. Wang has already said that they put the update out now so that they can work on other stuff. And honestly, I wish they would just keep working on bus stuff and this kind of thing, and also improvements to the vehicle spawn menu until you can consider that all finished. Just so that this is off the table and it's not going to stay there along the other 100 little things and sometimes bigger ones that they still kinda need to do. Just getting this all fully done with and then move on to the next one. Even as it's still all an improvement over what it was before. But I would much prefer if they fully finished it so that we can see, yeah, this is what it should be. One advantage here that we have through how it's been handled, that we now at least have some things being improved, is if we go back to the whole conversation, if we bring up the points that are missing for the bus menu, or I mean for the bus driving, for the vehicle spawn menu, etc., etc. It's now going to be fewer points, and that's going to help out making the conversation a bit more focused. So in the end, that's still good, but I would much prefer if we got the full thing right now. Also, I've been talking about my attempted new playthrough for the game here, which I want to start. I talked about starting it with 0.77 once that is out, and that is the case now. However, at that point I completely disregarded the possibility of maybe there being multiple patches for the update. So I would like to see at least, let's wait one more week since the update has come out and see if something else is going to come from it. And if that's not the case, then I can move over to the new playthrough, which is actually going to be a shorter series. I don't want to abandon this one. The other one is just going to be about approaching the game in a different way and seeing if I can get some different type of enjoyment out of it. Oops. But yeah, that kind of stuff. I don't really want to jump back and forth between this character here and the new one all the time. So I would rather wait until I know that I won't be getting onto this character for at least a while, and then do it a bit more consistently with the other one. I'll still be doing the events on this one. I mean, just look at my bank account in the top left, and you will see that, yeah, this is definitely one to spend some money on if I need to. But yeah, I still hope that eventually we'll get the option to make custom vehicle filters, because by now my whole garage is getting kind of full. The list is getting very long and kind of annoying. And really what we have with the current system, it's not really equipped with or equipped for dealing with all of this, at least in my opinion. I think it's missing a few key features in order to be more efficient here. Although another quote-unquote little thing which is really quite nice, they added a separate button for if you put a vehicle on a parking lot, you now can just press a single button in order to despawn it. You don't have to scroll down to the button that's placed somewhere in the menu below the entire list of vehicles. So that's actually making things quite a bit easier. I used to change categories a lot before.
Hello.
It was kind of annoying because with my long list I would have to go through like by now it's around 80 vehicles in order to get to the bottom of it and then to the despawn button. Or just switch over to cards, of which I have not a single one. I mean, there is only one card in the game, so why that one has its own category. Again, custom categories would be a lot better for vehicles in my opinion, than having stuff where just a single vehicle exists in the game at all. And not being able to categorize your vehicles by usage. If I set up my my old American land boat to be a high comfort taxi, that's a different thing than if I was to set it up for racing or just as a looks good, can do nothing lowrider pretty much. But yeah, we'll have to see if we ever get something like that. And yeah, when it comes to map additions, we've gotten the landfill. Currently not recommended. I haven't done any more trash collection on the latest patch, but the last time I tried going to the refinery, it paid pretty much the same money as it did over here. So it didn't seem like you get a bigger reward for a further away location. And I think that should be overhauled, because that's just making the trash collection in any location on the other island completely useless. So yeah, that's another thing, but the landfill itself is looking quite nice. They definitely improved the looks of the road going to that place. And besides that, we've got the new harbor area. And currently, honestly, the biggest thing about that is the road going there. They recently put down a construction site on that place, but besides like two little construction places, nothing has really happened. I was kind of hoping to see more of it, but yeah, I guess they didn't have the time yet. I noticed that with testing versions of the 0.77 update, we've gotten a few minor things around the island, like more decoration in Guangjin and all of that. So yeah, it stands to reason that those things also took quite a bit of time. And of course there's also the new mud road. I've talked about it at length. I haven't tried it on the final publicized version, but I think it still seems to be the same, so not for me. I really don't enjoy it, and therefore, unless we get some sort of change for it, I don't think I'll be really doing anything with it anymore. I've done my fair share of testing, both on screen with that one video that I made recently, but also just behind the scenes. I tried Limousine tanker delivery. Yes, it's of course faster than going around the long way, but at the end of the day I just have much more of a good time going the longer way and handling things that way. Although honestly, the Limousine, it's a bit too top heavy for my liking. So yeah, at that point I would rather have a larger vehicle that at least has more capacity. But Limousine is just... they don't really do it for me in a lot of cases. But then again, a lot of fuel delivery is like a black hole destination that you bring it to. So you don't really get any benefit once you do the delivery apart from the money. And therefore, as long as the money is right, it doesn't really matter how much you deliver at all. It would be a very different thing if this was for some sort of longer ongoing supply chain. Because at that point, yeah, you need a certain amount of stuff that you deliver in order to keep the chain going. And yeah, we are now too late. I should have maybe gone into the terminal first because this should be a large delivery. Like a lot of people will get off here, so the bonus would have been quite sizable. But in the end, I was a bit too afraid of maybe even having the bus just die on the little hill there before we get to the gas station.
Hello. Thank you.
Also, weirdly enough, I haven't seen the new bus spawn at any of the bus terminals. I mean, you can of course buy it at the bus dealership, but I don't think it just spawns as a usable option anywhere. You could of course also rent it out at the bus terminal, but at that point, I mean at the bus dealership. But it's a bit weird that it just doesn't seem to be placed anywhere else around the map for the ownership share and all of that. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but the bus now has its door on a hinge instead of being a sliding door. More accurate to what it should be in real life, because the old buses basically only had hinge doors. But I really liked the sliding door a bit more, so I don't know. Would be nice if we got the upgrade option at some point to turn them into sliding doors. I think that would be really cool for a game like this, where the door opening actually matters in some way. At least for buses right now. I hope later down the line we'll actually get like proper door opening and closing animations with characters getting in and out, at least ideally. But I don't know, we are certainly a long way from that from what it seems like. And in the end, these things aren't really required, but they would definitely make the whole thing come together a bit more. But for now, even without it, it's definitely all functional. Okay, let's autopilot take over and quickly refresh the buses. And yeah, besides all of it, I don't really know what else there is to talk about. I didn't make any like talking points this time around. I basically followed the entire update through its development, at least through the testing branch update. So yeah, this is basically me just rehearsing everything here. I don't think it's necessary to make a whole update video for this, since we basically covered everything over time. And yeah, while a few things have changed in between the different episodes or just from one to the other, I think overall it's pretty much just slightly enhanced version from what it was in tier or in T1. I have so many bus routes around the place here that I'm really messing up which ones I am on right now, and I should really pay more attention to the GPS. I mean, sometimes that's not even that helpful because it can throw you for a loop if it doesn't know what to do with the area ahead. We're going to see that in a few stops here. I had to do something slightly weird in order to make it work with AI buses, because they don't really know what to do with one of the terminals.
Hello. Hello.
And that's the upcoming terminal to the west. I think that's the Hallam terminal, whatever. West End on Lido Island, whatever it's called.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's quickly look. And yeah, in order to approach this place, the autopilot now wants me to go around over here, because yeah, from this road it's on the south side, so it wants me to approach from this direction so it can turn right onto it. It doesn't really seem to take the entire thing as an intersection, and with the entire terminal basically being roadside, it treats it more like a regular bus stop, it seems. I should maybe also make a feedback post about that, because it's just it could do with a rework. I think I talked about European style major bus stops or bus terminals in the past video. I think that would be a good idea, potentially turning this terminal into something like that, if they want to put in the work that is. So that would mean just having a one-lane road going around in a little loop. The buses would be going through that, and then there could be one stop to have the people go off, and the other one for people to get onto the bus. But yeah, this is basically how I do this entire thing here. Okay, I thought I changed that part. Let me see real quick. I wish I could pause the game while in this menu, but that's not always the case. So, as I mentioned, the game wants me to approach the terminal from this side, and that also means that afterwards it wants to continue over here. So that doesn't always work out. So let me check here. Intercity Anson, that's not it. I could delete this. I don't need this anymore. This is an old line where I go to Gepheim basically through the entire rest of the town. That's not how I handle things anymore. I now have separate lines, one for just Jeju and then one for Jeju and Gepha, because Gepha basically takes the same amount of time as going around Jeju for one rotation. But yeah, this is the route that I'm on right now. Double Olle. Okay, let's see. 23, 24 is if I'm coming down from this direction, so we go through here. Come back around here, and I think afterwards we basically go over here so we can just go through this road. If I now go down to 57, then 55, I'm running into a bit of a problem here. And yeah, I don't know if I can... I think I had this the other way around and it didn't work out either. Because at that point, going through the fishing village like this and coming around here, it would need to turn around, and for that it comes all the way down here, goes around this road and comes back up, so I don't know how it deals with this thing now. I mean, if I drive the whole thing personally, I can just go onto this side of the road, go around here, and that's it, all done. But I don't know how the AI bus is going to behave here. If it can make a U-turn, no problem. But if it does something weird here, I'm not entirely sure how that works. I kind of hope that it goes through here and then comes around like this to do it. It's still convoluted as all hell, but I don't know. Not quite to the same level as driving down to the next fishing town down south and coming back here. But I think that's one of those cases where I really just should take one of my cars and follow the AI bus around to see how that one is dealing with the entire situation. And yeah, if the terminal was maybe a bit removed from the road and had its own little intersection there where it could just go off into its own area, then this would likely be solved pretty easily. Also a nice amount of people here, so
Hello. Hello.
gonna get a few more people on.
Hello.
But yeah, there are a lot of different factors to this entire thing. Also, this route is so long that I'm not going to show you the entire thing. I think I've gone through most of my points here. So we are going to end this episode once we get back to Jeju. Jeju City, that is. So yeah, overall, I like the update. It's doing a lot of good things, but in a few ways, like the vehicle spawning menu with recently used vehicles, with private sharing instead of using the workshop, and also the whole bus thing, just not having to stop at every stop despite nobody wanting to get off and on. Those are things that should be in the update, at least in my opinion, but they decided to push it out anyways, and my hope is now that they still continue working on those things and not just leave them aside and move on to the next topic. Because that would be a waste of potential and yeah, a bit annoying. Also, I've recently made an attempt at getting the whole plank stacking thing on semi-trailers sorted out, but I don't know what it is, we just don't seem to get anything from that.
Hello.
And really there are two ways to solve it. First up, either adjust the plank stacking cargo scaling in order to really calculate with how many things we can stack right now, because it's internally from the values that I'm seeing, the game must be thinking that we can still stack up to 9, so we are getting less of a payout because according to the game we are not loading the trailer to its fullest, but in the end we load it to as much as it will let us load, and yeah, that's just giving us a worse payout than otherwise. Because with how the entire system works, if we load a trailer or if we load 6 items on a trailer, it's the difference if the capacity is actually 6 or 9, 12, whatever. And we are now right now getting a worse deal than what we should be having. But yeah, I made a new bug report about it, just trying to summarize the whole thing, instead of having half the important points somewhere down in the discussion, as it was with the older bug report. But other things that came after have seen the whole added to Trello symbol. This one is not, and it's kind of getting annoying. I don't really know what to do about it. Feels bad. And weirdly enough, we are not really getting any more flatbed vehicles. I know they have the whole CUDA flatbed version in the works. I mean, I would still prefer getting the option to load flatbed cargo on the CUDA container, which I recently sold, because that's apparently not happening. But yeah, for large amounts of planks and all of that, right now we have basically two options, and one of them is just being shot in the foot all the time, which is the semi-trailers.
Thank you.
The Métis, I tried, but I hate it. It's clear that the vehicle isn't really made to support that kind of load,
Thank you.
which is like 15 ton or something.
Hello.
But yeah, if I'm only getting paid part of what I should be getting for the planks on semi-trailers, then I'm not really that interested in using that either. Okay, this is actually the turnaround point where I would now be going across the island counterclockwise. Starting by going directly to Gangyang and then further down the counterclockwise route for one lap, and then later down the line cutting across the island again to go back to this direction that we did today. So that's how the route goes in broad terms. But that's also gonna be the end of this video, so thank you guys for watching. Let me know your opinions on the whole matter, especially when it comes to the current state of the update. Again, they put a lot of time and effort into some things that are not really having the biggest impact and just took a lot of time to implement, so I guess it would always be a smaller update due to that, but I feel at least they should be finishing what they started with for different features. That's my conclusion on the whole thing here, I guess. So yeah, thanks for watching, see you guys next time, and till then, have a good one, bye bye.